Welcome back, deep divers. You know how much we love a good mystery, and today we're heading to the Scottish Highlands to dig into a case that's got it all. Betrayal, clan rivalry, and a possible cover-up that's shrouded in centuries of speculation. Buckle up as we unravel the enigma that is the Appin murder.
And this isn't just some cold case we're dusting off. Oh no, this one's got teeth. We're talking 1752, the Highlands are still raw from the Jacobite risings and tensions. Let's just say they're about ready to boil over.
Right, so picture this. A land divided, loyalties tested, and smack dab in the middle of it all, a murder that throws fuel on an already raging fire.
It's the perfect storm, really. And as we'll see, the murder of Colin Campbell of Glenure, the so-called Red Fox, is only the tip of the iceberg.
Today, we're relying on some pretty fascinating sources, by the way. We've got first-hand accounts from the Stewart Society, historical insights from the Out of Yesteryear website, even some whispers and murmurs from the Sons of Scotland.
And trust me, where there's smoke in the Highlands, there's usually a fire burning somewhere. So, let's dive into this. Who was Colin Campbell, and why was he such a marked man?
Well, to understand that, we need to remember the political climate of the time. Campbell was more than just a government official. He was the king's man in a region that was fiercely, almost stubbornly independent.
He was the factor, which meant he was responsible for collecting taxes from clans who had just been on the losing side of a rebellion, many of whom had their lands confiscated by the crown.
Talk about adding insult to injury.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, Campbell was known for being particularly ruthless in carrying out his duties. Imagine, you've just lost your land, your livelihood, and then this guy shows up demanding you pay taxes on what little you have left.
Yeah, let's just say he wasn't winning any popularity contest.
Not a one. He was deeply resented, seen as a symbol of oppression by the Highland clans, especially the Stewarts. So when he's found shot dead one spring day in 1752, well, you can imagine the whispers start flying faster than a hawk in a gale.
And the finger of suspicion. It falls on James Stewart of the Glens, a prominent member of the Stewart clan. But here's the kicker. Everything we've read about him suggests he was a fair and just man. The Stewart Society speaks very highly of him.
Which makes you wonder, why would a man like that be accused of such a cold-blooded crime?
Well, let's not forget, the Highlands were a hotbed of political intrigue. The trial was presided over by none other than the Duke of Argyll, a powerful Campbell chieftain with, shall we say, a vested interest in the outcome.
And as if that wasn't enough to raise eyebrows, the jury was packed with Campbells.
Wait, how packed are we talking?
11 out of 15 jurors were Campbells. You do the math.
So much for a jury of your peers. It sounds less like a trial and more like a kangaroo court.
Pretty much sums it up. And despite having a solid alibi, according to multiple sources, James Stewart was found guilty. They didn't even convict him of the murder itself, mind you, but of being an accessory.
In erts and parts, right, like being involved somehow. I read that in the Appin of Yesteryear website.
Exactly. And the punishment, let's just say justice in the Highlands was often harsh and unforgiving.
They hanged him, didn't they?
Oh, they did indeed. But it gets worse. They left his body on display for over a year, a grim warning to anyone who dared challenge the crown's authority.
Gruesome. But wasn't there something about his remains, too? I vaguely remember reading something.
Yes. As the body decayed, they wired the bones together to keep the skeleton intact.
Ugh, that's morbid. Talk about sending a message. But amidst all this, there's a detail about James Stewart on the scaffold that always gets me. He sings.
He does, Psalm 35 to be precise. A song of lament, of pleading for justice against false accusations. It's quite a haunting image, wouldn't you say? This man, condemned to die, singing for justice that he may never see.
It's known to this day as James of the Glen song. It really makes you wonder, did he die protesting his own innocence, or was he protecting someone? Perhaps someone even closer to him.
And that question, my friend, is what has fueled the flames of this mystery for centuries? Because while James Stewart swung from that gibbet, whispers began to spread through the Highlands. Whispers that maybe, just maybe, the wrong man paid the price.
Okay, now you've got me hooked. So who are these whispers pointing to?
Well, those whispers, they often led to Alan Breck Stewart, James's foster son.
Okay, now him I remember. He's a bit of a legend, isn't he? A Jacobite, a swordsman. I think I even read somewhere that Robert Louis Stevenson based a character on him in Kidnapped.
That's right. Alan Breck Stewart was a real person, and his life was anything but dull. He fled after the murder, which, let's be honest, doesn't exactly scream innocence.
No, it does make you wonder if maybe James took the fall to protect his foster son. It's the kind of loyalty you don't often see these days.
It's certainly possible, but then again, this is the Highlands we're talking about. Loyalty can be a double-edged sword.
Sure enough. And speaking of loyalty and intrigue, our research also led us down a different path, this one pointing towards another Stewart, Donald Stewart of Ballachulish.
Now, Donald is an interesting character. He was actually there when they found Campbell's body, even helped retrieve it. Some sources, like Unforna Penman, a Stewart descendant, suggest that this actually gave him the perfect alibi.
Because he was there from the start, no one would suspect him. Clever, if it's true.
Right. But what makes this even more intriguing is that Penman claims Donald was chosen to be the assassin in a shooting contest. Can you imagine?
A shooting contest to decide who takes out the red fox. Talk about high stakes. But why go through all that trouble and then let James take the blame? It doesn't add up.
Unless, of course, James volunteered to shield Donald and protect the clan. Remember, clan loyalty was everything in those days. It was a bond stronger than death itself.
A noble sacrifice, but a tragic one nonetheless.
Indeed. And what's even more haunting is that years later, it was Donald who washed and buried James Stewart's bones after they were finally taken down from the gibbet.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's heavy stuff. It's like he was trying to atone for something, to make peace with the past.
It certainly adds another layer to this already complex story. But before we get completely swept up in clan intrigue and whispers of shadowy shooting contests, there's another theory we should consider. One proposed by historians Alan McInnes and Mahari Livingstone.
Okay, hit me with it. Who else could have possibly been involved in this web of Highland intrigue?
Well, McInnes and Livingstone suggest we might be looking in the wrong clan altogether. They propose that the real killer was someone much closer to home. Colin Campbell's own nephew, Mungo Campbell.
Now, hold on a minute. His own nephew? Why would he do that? Talk about a family feud.
It does seem crazy, right? But their argument is that Mungo was in line to inherit Colin's position as factor. He had both motive and opportunity.
So it was a power grab, a way to get ahead in the world, Highland style.
That's the theory. And let's not forget, Mungo was the one who found the body, or at least that's what he claimed. And he was put in charge of the investigation. Talk about a conflict of interest.
He could have steered the blame towards the Stewarts, throw everyone off his scent.
Exactly. And some accounts even mention that Mungo was known for his, shall we say, persuasive interrogation techniques.
Sounds more like intimidation tactics to me, trying to scare anyone who might suspect him. Well, deep divers, we've gone down quite a few rabbit holes today. We started with the murder of Colin Campbell, the infamous Red Fox, who seemed to have quite a few enemies in the Highlands. Then we met James Stewart, a man who might have been too honorable for his own good, possibly taking the fall to protect his clan, or maybe even his foster son, the elusive Alan Breck Stewart.
And just when we thought we had a handle on the Stewart clan's internal dynamics, we learned about Donald Stewart, the possible sharpshooter chosen to avenge his clan.
But then, just as we're about to settle on a suspect, McInnes and Livingstone throw a curveball our way with the possibility of Mungo Campbell, the victim's own flesh and blood, as the mastermind behind it all. It's enough to make your head spin.
It's a tangled web, no doubt about it. And I'm not sure we'll ever know who truly pulled the trigger that fateful day in 1752.
Maybe not. But that's the beauty of history, isn't it? It's those unanswered questions, those lingering doubts that keep us coming back for more. The Appin Murder, with its cast of characters, shadowy motives, and enduring mysteries, continues to fascinate us centuries later. It's a stark reminder that some secrets, like the mist that hangs over the Highlands, never truly fade away.
Well said. And until some new evidence emerges, we're left with the echoes of whispers, the haunting melody of James of the Glen Psalm, and a profound sense of wonder about what truly transpired on that day.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of the Scottish Highlands. We'll see you next time, Deep Divers.